What if I told you that the Invictus Games, an event meant to honor our wounded veterans, has been hijacked? Hijacked by a couple whose presence has nothing to do with the athletes, but everything to do with their own selfish desires for fame and attention. What if the true heroes, the ones who've sacrificed their bodies for our freedom, have been completely overshadowed by a man who once wore a royal title, and a woman whose sole purpose seems to be to use every opportunity to boost her own brand? For years, we've been fed a story of how Harry and Meghan's involvement in the Invictus Games is all about charity and service. But here's the twist. What if everything we've been shown is a carefully crafted narrative designed to distract us from what's really going on? What if what's been presented to us is far from the truth? In this video, we're going to peel back the layers, one by one, to reveal what has been hidden in plain sight. From Meghan's blatant disregard for the veterans to Harry's failure to stand up for what the games truly represent, what we uncover might just shock you. So stick around, because we're about to expose what others won't. Let's take a step back and consider the story that's been sold to us. We've all heard it. The Invictus Games, founded by Prince Harry to honor wounded veterans, has become one of the most celebrated events of its kind. It's about the heroes, the athletes who've sacrificed their bodies for our freedom. But ask yourself this, is it really about them anymore? Or has it become something else entirely? The media, with all its flashy headlines, has painted a perfect picture. Harry, the dutiful patron of Invictus, alongside Meghan, standing proudly with athletes who are the true stars of the show. A charming couple, appearing together at the opening ceremony, soaking in the applause as the cameras flash. Harry, in particular, is portrayed as the humble, noble leader, the one who gave everything up to support these brave men and women. But let me ask you, how many times have you heard the athletes' names mentioned? Compared to Harry and Meghan's, how often has the focus shifted from their incredible journey to a royal couple spectacle? Now, you might think, what's wrong with a little spotlight for the royals? But let's think about the context here. The Invictus Games were designed as a platform for veterans who've gone through unimaginable challenges, both physical and emotional. The essence of the games is to highlight their courage, their resilience, their triumph over adversity. Yet, each year, we see the event turning into another moment of self-promotion for Harry and Meghan. Is this really what we want? A charity event being reduced to a photo op for a couple whose only claim to fame seems to be their royal titles? Take a moment and think about it. Meghan Markle has no direct connection to the veterans. She's not a soldier. She hasn't experienced the hardships that these men and women have. And yet, year after year, she appears at Invictus, not just as a supportive partner, but as if the event is another stage for her personal brand. What is it about the cameras that seems to draw her in like a moth to a flame? Why is it that every time she steps on stage, she insists on grabbing attention, whether it's giving speeches or showing off her perfect family life? And here's where it gets interesting. You see, the games are about veterans, but how often do we actually hear their stories highlighted? Instead, we're fed a steady diet of the Sussexes' drama, their personal lives, and their charitable work. Does this seem right to you? Think about this. The Invictus Games was meant to be Harry's thing, right? But here's where it gets even murkier. Was this really his idea? Or was it a carefully packaged opportunity handed to him by the royal family, simply to get him out of trouble after his military career was cut short? It's hard to ignore the fact that Harry's involvement in Invictus conveniently serves as a way to rehabilitate his image after his departure from royal duties. What better way to keep him relevant than to allow him to be seen as the patron of a noble cause? So, let's step back and ask again. Is this about the veterans? Or is it just another royal publicity stunt? We can't ignore the fact that, despite the media's portrayal of Harry as a humble hero, the reality is far less glamorous. The real story of Invictus is buried beneath the shiny surface of royal appearances and carefully curated PR moments. It's not about Harry's noble sacrifice. It's about the way he's leveraged his title and his connection to the military to create a platform for himself and his wife, while all the attention is being taken away from those who truly deserve it. And here's the kicker. Why did we never hear about any of this until now? Why did it take so long for the media to start questioning the true intentions behind Harry and Meghan's involvement? That's where the hidden layers come into play. The next steps in this story will peel back these layers and reveal something even darker about their motivations. Stay tuned, because you won't want to miss what comes next. In the meantime, I'll leave you with this. How many more times do we have to witness the games turn into a spectacle for Harry and Meghan before we stop asking the wrong questions and start focusing on the real heroes? Now that we've seen the picture the media wants us to believe, let's dig deeper. Let's look beyond the polished smiles, the staged moments of charity, and the well-rehearsed speeches. Because when we peel back the curtain, what do we really find? Could it be that Invictus Games has been hijacked? Not by the veterans it was meant to serve, but by two people who seem to see every event as an opportunity for self-promotion? Let's start with a simple question. How often do you hear about the actual athletes at the Invictus Games? Sure, we're given glimpses of their courageous journeys, but it's almost always through the lens of Harry and Meghan's presence. And here's where the first red flag should go up. Why is their story always front and center? Does it seem right that the Games, meant to honor veterans, are becoming more about the Sussexes than the athletes themselves? Take a moment to think about this. Meghan Markle, a woman who has never served in the military. Yet every year, we see her at Invictus. Does that seem odd to you? Why is she so determined to insert herself into a space that was never meant for her? Her presence, her speeches, her photos, all of it seems designed to keep her at the center of the story. But here's the question we should all be asking. Why does it always feel like it's about her? Let's not forget about the wheelchair incident. Do you remember the video of Meghan grabbing the wheelchair of a disabled veteran and moving it for a photo op? Was that for the veteran, or was it for her own personal brand? That moment wasn't just disrespectful. It was a perfect symbol of how she's consistently tried to turn every opportunity into her own PR stunt. Can you imagine the outrage if anyone else, say, a regular person had done the same thing? Why does Meghan always get a pass? But wait, the plot thickens. What if I told you that Meghan's presence wasn't just unwelcome to some of the athletes, but also to the organizers themselves? You've probably heard the rumors by now. There were complaints from the veterans, from the sponsors, and even from the organizers. Yet, every year, they let her come back. Why? Could it be that they're too afraid of the media backlash to do what's right and remove her from the event? Now, here's where it gets even murkier. What is the true impact of all this on the veterans? If Invictus is being overshadowed by the Sussexes, then are the athletes getting the attention they deserve? The answer is simple, no. Instead of focusing on their incredible achievements, we're left watching Meghan's every move, analyzing her fashion choices, and asking why she wasn't wearing the Invictus gear again. Meanwhile, the veterans, the actual stars of the event, get lost in the shuffle. But there's more. Think back to the history of royal involvement in charity work. We've seen it before. Royals using their titles for publicity, using their involvement to boost their own image. Harry was no different when it came to Invictus. Initially, it seemed like a noble cause, but soon enough, it became clear that it wasn't about the veterans anymore. It was about him. So let's ask the hard question. Is Invictus Games just another royal platform, created to keep Harry relevant after his military career fizzled out? If you're still with me, here's the question I want you to chew on. Could Harry and Meghan be manipulating the media and their platform to create an image of themselves as modern-day heroes, while at the same time robbing the spotlight from those who truly deserve it? Is this all just a calculated move to keep their names in the headlines, even at the expense of the very athletes they claim to be supporting? And now, for the shocking twist. What if Harry and Meghan have been fully aware of all this? What if their charitable appearances at Invictus are not just random acts of kindness, but a carefully orchestrated plan to boost their brand and their bank accounts? Stay tuned, because the next part will reveal just how far this manipulation might go. At this point, you might be wondering, is all of this just a coincidence? Or is there something more sinister going on? Let's dig even deeper, because what I'm about to reveal could change everything you thought you knew about Harry, Meghan, and the Invictus Games. Now, let's take a hard look at the facts, unfiltered and raw. First, think back to Meghan's behavior at the Invictus Games. Every year, without fail, we see her in the spotlight. But here's the question that no one is asking. Is Meghan's involvement really a contribution to the cause? Or is it another calculated move to keep her face in front of the cameras? Consider this. Meghan's social media presence at these events is as predictable as it is telling. We've seen her, time and time again, post perfectly curated photos of her helping the veterans. But what about the veterans themselves? Have you ever seen their personal stories shared on her platforms? Hardly. Instead, we get more of the Meghan show, with snippets designed to draw attention to her and not the real stars of the event. How often does she focus on the athletes, their achievements, their sacrifices? Very rarely. She's too busy positioning herself at the center of every frame. And here's where the evidence gets uncomfortable. Let's talk about the wheelchair incident. That moment when Meghan grabbed a disabled veteran's wheelchair and moved it, presumably for a better photo op. What does that say about her priorities? Was she there to honor the athlete, or was she more concerned with looking good in front of the cameras? This isn't just a slip-up. It's a pattern of behavior that goes against the very spirit of the Invictus Games. Now, we can't ignore the fact that this wasn't the first time Meghan has tried to manipulate a situation for her own gain. Let's recall her infamous tug-of-war with the press after her wedding. She used the media's attention to create an image of herself as a modern-day fairy tale princess, despite knowing the consequences it would have on the monarchy. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's the same playbook she's using now at Invictus. She shows up, takes the spotlight, and leaves with the applause, while the real work, the real heroes, remain sidelined. But let's zoom out for a moment. When we look at the bigger picture, at how the Sussexes have handled every major event since they stepped down from royal duties, doesn't it seem a bit too convenient that they've aligned themselves with causes that amplify their own personal brands? The climate change initiatives, the charity work, the documentary film projects, it's all strategically timed to maintain their visibility. And the best part? They don't even have to pretend to be genuine anymore. The world buys into it anyway. They've crafted a narrative so effectively that the media and the public don't even question it. Now, let's look at Harry's role in all of this. His behavior is just as telling. He may appear to be the well-meaning, awkward royal who's simply trying to do good. But is he really? Let's not forget how many times he's let Meghan's behavior slide in the past. He stood by her when she openly disregarded royal protocol. He stayed quiet when her actions undermined the work of Invictus. But here's the catch. Harry knows exactly what he's doing. And so does Meghan. They both know the power of the media and the value of keeping their names in the headlines. And the most infuriating part of all? They're using our goodwill, our respect for the veterans, to keep their brand alive. But here's the most damning part of it all. The lack of accountability. Why? After all these years, is no one standing up to them? Why hasn't anyone called out this behavior before? The answer is simple. They've mastered the art of deflection. By creating a sense of charity around themselves, they've silenced criticism and turned any negative coverage into attacks on their family or their causes. It's a classic tactic used by PR machines everywhere. And it works. Every time. But here's the real shocker that's been hiding in plain sight. What if all of this, every photo op, every appearance, every speech, is part of a much larger plan? What if Meghan and Harry are playing a long game, one where their personal brand is far more important than the veterans they claim to champion? The timing, the narrative, the consistency of their self-promotion. Everything points to the fact that their involvement in the Invictus Games is not about helping the wounded warriors. It's about building their empire. So, I'll leave you with this. Do you really think Harry and Meghan are truly invested in the Invictus Games? Or is it just another stage for their never-ending quest for fame and fortune? As the evidence stacks up, one thing becomes clearer than ever. This isn't just about charity. It's about control, manipulation, and using a worthy cause to make themselves the center of attention. Stay tuned, because we're about to take this even further in the next section. What happens next will make you question everything you've heard about the Sussexes. As we peel back the layers, we must ask ourselves one final, crucial question. Who is really in control here? Is it Harry and Meghan? Or is there something, or someone, behind the scenes pulling their strings? Orchestrating every move for maximum impact? Let's take a step back and analyze the bigger picture. We've seen the headlines, the grand appearances, and the carefully crafted PR campaigns. But let's be real for a moment. Could all of this be part of a much larger strategy? A strategy designed not just to rehabilitate Harry and Meghan's public image, but to secure their place in the media landscape for years to come? Here's the thing. When you look closely at how the Sussexes have navigated their post-royal lives, everything seems to follow a pattern. Every major event, whether it's a charity project, a documentary, or a public appearance, comes at the right time to boost their profiles. The Invictus Games are no different. But what if these appearances are just pieces in a grand puzzle, where each move is calculated to keep them at the center of the media universe? Take a moment to think about the timing of it all. Meghan and Harry's involvement in the Invictus Games began shortly after they distanced themselves from the royal family. Was this their way of holding onto a platform that had been given to them, albeit with a royal title? Or was it something more? Could it be that they were positioning themselves as the definitive voices on veterans' issues, using their newfound freedom to speak on behalf of others? But let's dig a little deeper. What if, instead of truly supporting veterans, their presence is really about staying in the public eye, using charity as a cover for their brand-building campaign? Let's consider the historical context. The royal family has long been associated with charitable causes, but there's always been a careful balance between genuine support and public relations. Is Harry trying to carry on that legacy? Or has he completely shifted gears, using his royal ties for personal gain in ways that go unnoticed? After all, we've seen this pattern before with celebrities using charity work to boost their own image. Think of the countless Hollywood stars whose philanthropic efforts seem to coincide with their upcoming projects. It's a strategy that works, but is it ethical? Now, let's bring the focus back to the Invictus Games. Despite the good intentions behind the event, the public's perception of it has been undoubtedly shaped by the Sussexes' involvement. So here's a question for you. Would the games be as successful if Harry had stepped back, leaving the veterans to shine without his royal connections hovering over them? It's a tough question. The games are indeed about the athletes. But how much has the constant media attention on Harry and Meghan overshadowed the real message? And this brings us to the crucial detail, the role of external forces. The Sussexes have long been suspected of operating not just with their own interests at heart, but with the backing of a powerful network that wants to ensure their relevance. Could it be that the PR machines behind them are orchestrating every event, every word, and every photo op to maintain their position in the media? They're not just playing the royal card, they're playing the celebrity card. And they know how to win. Now, here's the bombshell. What if Harry and Meghan aren't just building their own empire? What if they're being used as pawns in a much bigger game? Think about it. Could the media landscape be strategically positioning them as outsiders? People we can relate to, people we can sympathize with, all while they build an empire off of their perceived struggle? Is it possible that the Sussexes are being manipulated by a more powerful force, one that stands to benefit every time they make headlines? And if we look even closer, at the bigger picture, Harry and Meghan's every move is leading them to greater financial gain, more media coverage, and even political influence. The game they're playing isn't just about charity. It's about positioning themselves in ways that will benefit them long after the royal titles fade. So, here's the big question. Are we witnessing the rise of a new kind of monarchy? One built not on tradition and duty, but on branding, media manipulation, and the exploitation of public sympathy? Harry and Meghan have managed to do what few others could. Turn a royal exit into an opportunity for self-promotion. And in the process, they've been able to maintain their relevance, all while hiding behind a facade of charity work. But here's the twist you weren't expecting. What if the true puppet master in all of this is the media itself? Could it be that they're pushing this narrative, feeding us the story of Harry and Meghan's struggles, so they can continue to sell us the dream? What if the entire saga is nothing more than a distraction? A drama that keeps us glued to our screens while the true motivations remain carefully concealed? Stay tuned. The next chapter will unravel the final layer, revealing whether Harry and Meghan are truly the masterminds of their fate, or if they've been playing into the hands of a much bigger game all along. So, where does that leave us? After all that we've uncovered, one thing is clear. The Invictus Games, an event originally designed to honor the sacrifices of wounded veterans, has become something far more complicated. We've seen how Harry and Meghan's involvement has raised questions about their true motivations. But are they really the masterminds behind this PR spectacle? Or is there a much bigger force at play, using them to push a narrative that keeps us all hooked? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. The truth isn't as simple as it seems. We've explored the layers of public image, manipulation, and hidden agendas, but the full picture is still far from complete. There are many more questions left unanswered. Is this the end of their royal journey? Or is it just the beginning of a different kind of monarchy? One that's built not on tradition, but on branding, media control, and exploitation of public sympathy? So, I want to leave you with this. After everything we've seen, who really benefits from the Sussexes' actions? And what do you think the long-term consequences will be for both the Invictus Games and the veterans they're supposed to support? This story is far from over. There will be more twists, more shocking revelations, and more moments that make us question everything. Make sure you don't miss out. Subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell so you can stay updated as we continue to peel back the layers of this ongoing saga. You won't want to miss what comes next. This closing leaves the audience with a sense of curiosity, encouraging them to form their own opinions while building anticipation for future discussions and updates on the topic.